webinar with myself, Celine Erasmus, and Lynda Smith. Why are we talking about this topic, REFIRE for energy and resilience? Well, if we look at market trends, there is from everybody, from the World Health Organization through to really esteemed authors like Linda Grattan from the London Business School. We are living longer, and we need to redesign and relook at our lives because we want to live younger for longer as opposed to older for longer, and be able to use our assets, which Linda Grattan refers to, tangible and intangible assets, and we're going to unpack that a bit as we go through today's webinar. So welcome. Why this topic? Why us? The topic's a really relevant one for anybody, so right from birth through to the end of our long, healthy life, hopefully. But why us? I'm a registered dietitian, an author and speaker, and a French foodie. My business partner, who couldn't be with us today, Joni Peddie, is a behavioural strategist and a facilitator, executive coach, and author. And together we have a business called the Resilient Energy Centre, and we are passionate about helping individuals achieve good vitality and energy at any point in their lives. And we have the wonderful privilege of working with Lynda Smith. So Lynda, welcome, and perhaps you'd like to introduce yourself.
Thank you very much. And yes, I'm a retirement life coach, and basically helping people, if we're going to be living longer and have an extra season of life, you really need to manage your life and understand what that means from a planning point of view, from a visioning point of view, and a passion and a purpose. And so I really love to help people just think through their future rather than their parents' and grandparents' retirement, because life has changed significantly for all of us.
Absolutely, and the topic blends into one another. We know that your health is your real wealth. We also know that a lot of people give up their health to build wealth, and then actually you can't even enjoy wealth without health, and you might use up all your wealth to buy back your health. Sure, that's quite a tongue twister for this time of the day. So we need to speak to the topic together. So what we're going to do is address 4 questions today. We have a follow-up series to this webinar, which will take place next week. And each question will be posed to Lynda as the retirement coach, as well as myself as the resilience coach around health and well-being. So without wasting any time, let's get to question 1. So Lynda, if we're going to live these longer lives, how do we make sure that we have energy and resilience?
Right. So I heard a lovely saying the other day about we need to measure our health span rather than our lifespan. And that takes you into more of a responsibility from a much earlier age, because it means that you're focusing on your health. Because as Lynda Grattan says in her book, our vitality assets are an intangible asset that will help us to be younger for longer. And to see longevity as a gift rather than a curse. And so it's absolutely critical that we understand that our health is key to our vitality and the energy that we're doing. And so wellness is a backdrop to vitality. And wellness is also not simply the absence of disease, but it's about thriving rather than just surviving.
Yeah.
And I think most people in a very stressful world are feeling like they're just surviving. And so part of what we need to do is to understand where our energy comes from, what will ignite our energy, how do we build resilience. And again, resilience often comes in the tough times, when we're going through tough times or there's challenges at work, and rather than walk away, we push through and we persist and we build resilience. And resilience helps you later on to also sustain your energy. And so those for me are really, really key. And so, yes, wellness and understanding how to put that together will bring energy and resilience for us.
And as Lynda has said, at any time of our life, at any seasons of our life. And so from my perspective as a health and resilience and wellness catalyst is to use nature as a great example of how to manage our energy. We know that there are 4 seasons. And it's important to not only work really hard, but to also take time to rest. So like we do in winter, we see animals, we see nature taking time to rest. We should do that. And today we are so busy that when we don't take care of ourselves during our midlife, working life, heading into the later time in life, we can really, I see a lot of burnout, tired, fatigue, chronic disease like diabetes, heart disease, and hypertension. And so being aware of the cycles of our body, on a daily basis, because some of us have got high energy, low energy at different times. Some of us need to rest, so go into winter or sleep for 6 hours a night. Some of us need maybe 8 hours. So knowing our own personal cycles on a daily basis, and then looking overall holistically at our lives, and not just working hard and building wealth, but also taking time out to rest. Very, very important, so that we can stay in sync with any season at any time in our life. So second question, Lynda, what are your top pointers for making sure that we grow vitality as we grow older?
Sure. So definitely value yourself and understanding who you are, because often we just outsource everything and we come last. And so whether it's in your exercise, it's in your eating, it's in your relationships, there are many, many things that we need to look at. If you can bring up the slide so that I can just share with the people about leisure. So it often is a case of a lot of people talk to me about saying, I can't wait till I retire. And then I'm just going to play golf 7 days a week.
Or paint.
Or whatever it is, travel. And yes, those are wonderful things that we need to do, but we need to actually design a whole range of different kinds of leisure into our lives much earlier on. It's not just about retirement. This is about building a holistic life that where you value and looking after your rest, looking after your exercise, looking after your grooming and your medical tests and all those kinds of things, but making sure that you make time for who you are and rather don't outsource everything to your life to the corporate world and the rest of your family. Make sure that you value yourself, because you're going to have to live with your body later on in life. And so yes, so it's really important. And so on the screen here, there's 6 different kinds of leisure. So really look and reflect in your own life about which ones of these do I engage in now? Do I have social leisure, spectator leisure? And that's not just holding the remote in your hand. And who has the remote today? I have many couples who actually, that is the biggest challenge they're going to have, is we can have 2 TVs. Intellectual leisure, how are you growing? Lifelong learning is an absolute key for resilience and energy, because it's going to keep you passionate. Creative leisure, painting, writing, all those kinds of things that will just help us to actually grow. And then there's physical leisure and solitary leisure, spending time alone in reflection about planning and visioning. And so all of those things are really key to building vitality in this season.
And that's an important point that you bring up again in terms of a 10-point plan and checklist for living a purposeful life. So from my perspective as a health coach, if there was one pointer, because there's so much around how to eat and how to move, but I think the most important is if all of us practice more mindfulness in the way that we eat and the way that we move and exercise our bodies, that would help a lot. A lot of us do everything mindlessly. So we eat on the run, we don't really think about what we're doing, we don't listen to our bodies when our body gives us signals. So if there's one thing I would say is to practice the art of mindfulness, especially when you eat. What that implies is slowing down, and there's a great author who has a quote that I'd like us to perhaps share together. He is a Vietnamese Buddhist monk who apparently is now spending his later years in life, he's younger for longer, over 90, in the south of France. So if we take a look at a short quote from his book, perhaps you can imagine this orange in your hand as we go through this together. Take the time to eat an orange in mindfulness. If you eat an orange in forgetfulness, caught in your anxiety and sorrow, the orange is not really there. But if you bring your mind and body together to produce true presence, you can see that the orange is a miracle. Peel the orange, smell the fruit. See the orange blossoms in the orange and the rain and the sun that have gone through the orange blossoms. The orange tree that has taken several months to bring this wonder to you. Put a section in your mouth, close your mouth mindfully, and with mindfulness, feel the juice coming out of the orange. Now, if we all ate not just fruit, but every mouthful of food like that, I think many of us would find that we'd get fuller faster because we'd eat more slowly and need actually less than what we think. And we may even lose a bit of weight, which is often a question that I get around getting, not even older. We work with millennials, so there's people in their 20s that are saying, how do I lose weight? And I'm stressed and I'm eating on the go. Mindfulness can help you wherever you are. So the next question, Lynda, an important one. How do we avoid blocking vitality and resilience?
Yeah. So there are many things that can be blocking your vitality. Many unresolved issues, whether they're grudges, whether it's grief that you haven't worked through, abuse. So in some cases, you do need to work with a counselor or someone in your church or a coach to be able to just work through some of those deep-seated issues that are really causing you they're causing internal stress, which will then be a vitality blocker. There are some life transition moments could be vitality blockers. So, for instance, empty nest syndrome.
Yeah.
Retirement is one of those.
Death?
And death. Those three are three that could be really key blockers. And for me, I want to just share personally, when both my children got married, they got married 3 months apart and then both left the country. So I really was challenged, and I'd been in the parenting industry. So parenting wasn't just my job as a mother, it was also my job in the industry I was in.
Yeah.
And I can remember sitting at my desk one day and saying, I can die now. I've done what I came to do. And it really was a moment where I had to take hold of myself and realize that I was spiraling downwards into depression. And I did have a pity party for about 6 months, but eventually pulled myself together and said, look, the season of parenting is over. There is another whole season of 20, 30, 40 years ahead of you. And what are you going to do with it? You've got talents, you've got gifts, and it's all the intangible assets. And so it's to really get to the point where we identify that blocker and work through it and then move forward. So the same goes for when you're giving up, when you're retiring or you're retrenched. Often your identity is in the work you do rather than who you are. And for many, many people in 50 and over, the baby boomers, they really have loved their work, and their identity is in their job and in their status from their jobs. So when they lose those, they can go into a depression. And so it's really important to plan these things before you get to that line of retirement, because that will help you to start spiraling upwards rather than spiraling too far down, and then you struggle to come back from a vitality point of view. So those for me are the ones I want to share from a
and thank you, Lynda, because that's really personal, but I think there's a lot of people out there that would feel just that. And if we look at the pictures on the screen, you'll see a younger for longer lady, that's an Okinawan lady who's full of energy, and then there's a very young lady who doesn't look like she's energetic at all. So the way I would answer this question is, what blocks our vitality and energy is the way that we choose to fuel and move our bodies on a daily basis. So we're not going to go into a deep lecture around that. Joni and I have done previous webinars and written 2 articles that we will share with you in a follow-up email that are specifically around what kind of things you can eat and what you can do to manage your blood glucose levels, because that's the most fundamental step if you want to manage your energy and vitality. Because you can have all these great plans and visions and aspirations. If you don't have the energy to get out of bed in the morning, you ain't going to go anywhere. So there's also quite a few blogs on our website, Resilient Energy Center, around snacking for stamina, practical ideas. We offer recipes if you sign up on our website. So every Friday you can get a Fab Friday foodie recipe to make it easy to eat and to move your body in a way that can sustain your energy and not block it. So on to our 4th question, a very important one. Lynda, how does one create purpose and passion later in life?
Right. So when you've been working for 20, 30 or 40 years, in many cases we've suppressed our dreams. We've suppressed because we've been focusing on the children and the education and the bond and just basically working through the stress of corporate life and whatever life is throwing you in those years. And so it really is important to be able to look at the 4 circles in the picture to be able to help people understand and re-unlock their passion and their purpose. So I use these 4 circles when I'm doing workshops with companies, young and older women, because sometimes we go off in a completely wrong direction.
Yeah.
And I often hear people say to me, you're so lucky you do what you love. Yeah. But actually I've purposefully done that my whole life. It's been important for me to work in something that I love rather than to get up and work for 8 hours a day in something that I don't enjoy. And so these 4 circles help people to look in magazines, look at words, and just do a visioning board for yourself, and put the words closest to the circle with the words that it relates to. So in this specific one, it is my own visioning board, but into a slide. I did do it in actual format before. So what is it that you love? What are you good at? What are your skills? But not only that, what are you good at? Are you a good listener? Are you a good connector? What can you get paid for? Because one of the biggest challenges is that many people do need to continue working. And I'm also a career transition coach. And people want to continue to do the work they were doing 30, 40 years ago. But technology's changed, and many of those jobs are no longer available. So it's to help people to understand where could they get paid for what they're passionate about, what they love, and what does the world need. And so those 4 circles help individuals to be able to really start re-envisaging and building energy, because once we know what our purpose and passion is, it's a reason to get up. And work is the reason to get up, whether we love it or hate it. But once we get to retirement age, we need a reason to get up. And so that's why these circles are really important for me. And in this specific one, it is more around my family. They both live internationally. So yes, travel and family are absolutely key for how I'm managing to put together my life. Refirement Network is the business that I'm involved in. And again, there are lots of articles on the Refirement Network site that around the specific work that I do. And then where can you work? Job creation, health, education in this country, whether it's volunteering or working, the development sector of this country is massive. And so there is always a reason for us to be needed. And whether it's paid or unpaid, there is meaning in that. And so those are both currencies. And so what I'd like to end with is to just give you some characteristics of personal purpose. So to live a meaningful life is going to give you a reason to get up, and meaningful is often where you are doing something for someone outside of you without a personal return. But it's amazing the return that you do get in those kind of cases. Know where you're going. So have a plan, know what it is that you're doing and why you're doing it, because otherwise life's just going to happen.
Yeah.
And we are actually social pioneers in this phase because we have an extra season of life. So retirement is different from our parents and grandparents.
Yes.
And so we need to plan for a good long season. That way, if you can work, you can also leave your investments to grow. So that's also a great energy enabler, because finances can be a terrible stress. So that is another way. Dream again. We need to have dreams. We should dream until our last breath. Feel your inner energy, which you will if you've unlocked your passion and your purpose. Be creative. Use your imagination. Think back to when you were a child and the things you dreamed about, Often that's where you start. Leaving a legacy. Those are important things when we've got less years left than we've lived. Yeah. We start to think, what am I leaving behind? So that also is a key part of it. Plus being part of a community, be engaging with other people, feeling like you're part of a whole is absolutely key. And then also just leave time for solitude and reflection. Yeah. Because those things can help you to clear your mind for where you need to do. And that may be going for a walk. It may be quiet time. It could be many things, but it's being alone. We need to learn to live and think by ourselves sometimes, not always with all the noise in the system that currently exists.
And still be happy.
Absolutely.
And still be or content, because if we're not suggesting that we all bounce around and laughing all day, but have this inner sense of peace. Yeah. And from our perspective, Joni and myself have a keynote presentation that we deliver in the workplace, because that's primarily the work that we do. And the one presentation that we offer is called Health for Wealth. Health as an acronym which looks at 6 transactions, 6 strategies that we can put in place to help us maintain our health while we're building wealth for a younger, for longer life. And the last transaction, the H, the second H, is around happiness. And there are some practical things that we can do to drive a sense of contentment and happiness. And they build very nicely on the key points that Lynda's just shared, such as living a meaningful life by thinking of others rather than ourselves, and by expressing gratitude. So exactly that, writing down in a gratitude journal every day, and you don't need to write pages and pages. According to the father of positive psychology, Martin Seligman, people like Sean Achor, who have written the book, The Happiness Advantage, say that if we write down 3 things every day that we are grateful for, it cultivates a sense of happiness and purpose. And the second thing, to do things for others. So get out of bed every morning thinking about who can you create or do a random act of kindness for. It can be something as simple as buying a stranger a cup of coffee to smiling at everybody. You don't need to spend a lot of time or spend a lot of money, but when you wake up with that sense of doing something for somebody else that gives you meaning, purpose, and helps you cultivate a sense of inner peace. So we've taken a look at 4 questions from 2 different viewpoints, and there's a lot that we can discuss on the topic. If we look at boosting our FAB quotient, which is really the work that Joni and myself are passionate about, we've looked at ways that you can feed your body for energy and vitality, how you can move your body. Lynda highlighted leisure activities. And then under the behave component, we've looked at how important it is to spend time in reflection, to create behavior change and a vision to enrich a life that is full of meaning and purpose. So we weren't open to questions because of time, and we committed to keeping this webinar short and snappy. But a question that I know that we often get is, how can we take this further? We know that children should be thinking about this, because really we can't think about retirement when we get to retirement. We should be thinking about our life from birth. So Lynda and myself are available, and Joni as facilitators and coaches, either for schools. We find that most of our work is done actually in the workplace. So if you'd like us to come and chat to you about that, then please get hold of us. We will send a follow-up thank you note, and you can then ask us, how do we actually engage, and we can give you a call or pop in for a cup of coffee or green tea if you want to live longer like the Japanese do. But what we know is, no matter who we are, at any point in our lives, we often need nudging along the way. So one way to create nudges, besides workplace-based work groups and coaching and talks, is to use online technology. We have a FAB Online Academy, which is a series of videos. Each video is 5 minutes or less, because we understand that today, even if we are retired, we seem to not have enough time. So the videos are short and snappy. They're filmed in a creative way, and they take a look at 21 different ways to fuel your body, to activate your body, and to create behavior changes. So as an example, week 1, the videos would look at eating for energy, how to activate and stay energized throughout the day, how to understand your personality, because knowing yourself helps you to know others and help you to create that meaningful life that Lynda spoke about. Week 2 would give you access to how to snack for stamina, how to move your body once again in practical, easy ways, simple exercises that you can do at any point in your life, and then more in-depth understanding of yourself. So this program currently is available online for $97. However, for anybody who's listening to this webinar, and for the webinar that we'll be doing in a week's time, we will make the program available as is for just $45, which even at the conversion rate for us South Africans is really not bad. So if you're feeling tired, if you're feeling like you need some assistance around managing your energy and your FAB quotient and want to feel more resilient, this is really a great place to start. You'll also then have access to myself and Joni, and Lynda is also available to help with coaching, either one-on-one or in a group. Yeah. So where to from here? If you'd like to take up our special offer, jot down the link now. I specifically made it shorter. So that is the link as you see it on the screen. We will also include the link in a follow-up email for you. We will also include the link to some articles. Lynda has a fantastic blog, which is really rich in terms of how to take on this next season of your life. We will also share with you some articles around fueling specifically for longevity, which is actually what we're going to unpack in next week's webinar. So from a nutrition perspective, I'm going to be including some interesting information around the connection between the brain and your gut. So be sure to check in with us there. And if you'd like any information about how we could work with you going forward, then reach out to us or look out for our email and then respond there. Thank you, Lynda.
Thank you. That was fabulous. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Me too. Thanks for joining us. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. We didn't speak to ourselves.